Learning English is like embarking on an endless adventure, a journey with no final destination but countless stops along the way. Every step you take opens up new horizons, and the beauty of it all is that there's always something more to discover. It starts with curiosity. Maybe you heard a catchy song in English or watched a movie where the characters seemed to speak in riddles. At first, it's all just noise, a jumble of sounds that don't quite make sense. But slowly, piece by piece, those sounds start to come together. The lyrics of that song? They're not just random syllables. They're telling a story. And that movie? It's filled with emotions and ideas that you suddenly find yourself connecting with. This moment, when things start to click, is when you realize that learning English isn't just about mastering a set of rules. It's about unlocking new experiences, new ways of thinking, and new connections with people all over the world. Now, let's talk about that moment of clarity, when you first understand something in English without having to translate it in your head. It's a game changer, a feeling like you've just cracked a code or solved a puzzle. It's like everything clicks into place, and suddenly, you're not just learning English, you're living it. This isn't just about memorizing words and phrases, it's about understanding the language on a deeper level. And once you've had that first taste of success, you'll want more. Each new word you learn, each phrase you understand, becomes a new piece of the puzzle, and before you know it, you've built something incredible, a whole new way of seeing the world. But let's be honest, the road to fluency isn't always easy. English, like any language, has its quirks, its strange rules, and its exceptions to those rules. Grammar, in particular, can feel like a minefield. Just when you think you've got a handle on things, something like phrasal verbs or irregular verbs comes along to throw you off balance. It can be frustrating, sure, but it's also what makes English such a fascinating language to learn. Think of it like a challenging video game. Just when you've mastered one level, you're faced with a new obstacle to overcome. But here's the thing. Each time you face a challenge and conquer it, you're not just learning more English, you're building confidence. You're proving to yourself that you can do this, that you're capable of mastering even the most difficult aspects of the language. Breaking things down into manageable pieces can make the process less overwhelming. Instead of trying to learn everything at once, focus on small, specific goals. Start with the basics, greetings, common phrases, simple questions. It's like building a house. You need to lay a strong foundation before you can start adding the finishing touches. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. In fact, mistakes are an essential part of the learning process. They're not setbacks, they're stepping stones. Each mistake teaches you something new and helps you improve. So, embrace them. Laugh at them, learn from them, and keep moving forward. Every time you stumble, you're one step closer to mastering the language. And while we're on the subject of making things interesting, let's dive into the world of slang. Slang is the heartbeat of any language, and English is no exception. It's what makes conversations feel real and alive. Learning slang isn't just about memorizing new words. It's about understanding the culture behind the language. Words like cool, awesome, lit, and countless others might not appear in your grammar books, but they're crucial if you want to speak like a native. Slang evolves quickly, and keeping up with it can feel like a never-ending task. But that's part of the fun. It's like staying on top of the latest trends in fashion or music. You're constantly learning, constantly adapting, and always staying fresh. Cultural differences also play a big role in how English is spoken around the world. British English, American English, Australian English, each has its own unique flavor, its own way of doing things. Think of it like different versions of your favorite software. Each one has the same basic functions, but the layout, the shortcuts, the little nuances all vary. Understanding these differences can be tricky, but it's also incredibly rewarding. It's like being able to speak multiple dialects of the same language, each with its own quirks and charm. Plus, it's fascinating to see how the same word can take on completely different meanings depending on where you are. For example, in the UK, pants means underwear, while in the US, it refers to trousers. These little differences add depth and richness to your understanding of the language. Practice, of course, is essential. But when I say practice, I don't just mean sitting down with a textbook. Real practice happens when you step outside your comfort zone, when you put yourself in situations where you have to use English in a real, meaningful way. This might mean chatting with native speakers, joining a language exchange group, or even just talking to yourself in English as you go about your day. The key is to immerse yourself in the language as much as possible. The more you use English, the more natural it will start to feel. It's like learning to ride a bike. At first, it's awkward and uncomfortable, but with practice, you'll find your balance. Immersion is one of the most powerful tools in language learning. Surround yourself with English in every way you can. Change the language settings on your phone, watch your favorite TV shows and movies in English, listen to English podcasts, and read English books. At first, it might feel like you're in over your head, but that's okay. The more you immerse yourself, the more your brain will start to pick up on patterns and structures without you even realizing it. It's like being thrown into the deep end of a pool. Yes, it's scary at first, but before long, you'll be swimming with confidence. Speaking of reading, let's talk about the power of books. Reading in English is one of the best ways to build your vocabulary and improve your understanding of grammar and sentence structure. Start with something simple: children's books, young adult novels, or even comic books. These are great because they're written in clear, straightforward language, and they're also a lot of fun to read. As you become more comfortable, you can gradually move on to more complex texts. Don't worry if you don't understand every word at first. The important thing is to keep reading. Each book you finish will give you a sense of accomplishment and will bring you one step closer to fluency. Writing is another critical component of learning English. It's one thing to understand words and phrases when you hear or read them, but it's another thing entirely to use them correctly when you're writing. Start by keeping a daily journal in English. Write about your day, your thoughts, your plans, whatever comes to mind. Don't worry about making mistakes. The goal is to get your ideas down on paper. Over time, you'll find that your writing becomes more fluid, your sentences more complex, and your vocabulary richer. Writing helps solidify the concepts you've learned and gives you a chance to experiment with new words and grammar structures in a low-pressure environment. One of the best things about learning English in today's world is the sheer number of resources available to you. There are countless apps, websites, YouTube channels, and online courses designed to help you learn English in fun and interactive ways. You can learn at your own pace, on your own time, and in a way that suits your learning style. These resources turn language learning into something enjoyable rather than a chore. Whether you're a visual learner who benefits from watching videos, an auditory learner who prefers listening to podcasts, or someone who learns best through hands-on practice, there's something out there for you. Gamification is another exciting trend in language learning. Apps like Duolingo and Memrise have turned vocabulary practice into a game, complete with points, levels, and daily streaks. This approach makes learning fun and keeps you motivated, especially when you're competing with friends or other learners. The satisfaction of leveling up or maintaining a long streak can keep you coming back day after day, even when you're not feeling particularly motivated. It's a great way to keep yourself engaged with the language and to make steady progress without even realizing it. But while all these tools are incredibly helpful, The most important factor in your success will always be consistency. Learning a language isn't something you can do overnight. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Regular, consistent practice is what will get you to fluency. Set small, achievable goals for yourself. Maybe it's learning 5 new words each day, or watching 1 movie in English each week. These small steps might not seem like much on their own, but over time, they add up to significant progress. And don't forget to celebrate your successes along the way. Each milestone you reach is something to be proud of. Of course, everyone faces setbacks at some point. It's easy to get discouraged when you feel like you're not making progress, especially if you hit a plateau where it seems like you're not improving. But remember, this is a normal part of the learning process. Everyone goes through it, and it doesn't mean you're not getting better. The key is to push through these moments of doubt and to keep going. Sometimes, a change of pace is all you need. Try focusing on a different aspect of the language, like listening instead of speaking, or reading instead of writing. Mixing things up can reignite your interest and help you break through that plateau. Lastly, it's important to keep your motivation in mind. Remember why you started learning English in the first place. Maybe it's for your career, for travel, or simply for personal growth. Whatever your reasons, keep them at the forefront of your mind, especially on days when you're feeling tired or frustrated. Learning English is one of the most rewarding things you can do. It opens doors, connects you with people from all over the world, and gives you a sense of accomplishment that few other things can match. And the more you learn, the more opportunities you'll find, whether it's a new job, a new friend, or a new place to explore. So, embrace the journey. Celebrate your victories, learn from your mistakes, and keep pushing forward. Before you know it, you'll be speaking English with confidence and ease, and looking back, you'll realize just how far you've come. And the best part? This journey doesn't really have an end. There's always more to learn, more to explore, and more ways to grow. So keep at it, stay curious, and enjoy every step of the way. This is your adventure, and you're the one writing the story. The English-speaking world is out there, waiting for you. So go out and discover it.